the 7 keys to closing the month strong. And this is one of my favorite trainings by far, because it's really all about creating urgency and building your business pay period deadline to pay period deadline. So let's dive into this here. First thing is this. The first key that you want to realize about how to close a month strong is stay committed to your goal, right? Set a goal that will make something of you to achieve it, right? When you set a goal, you want to make sure you stretch, make you reach, make you change, make you grow. Set big goals, right? Everybody would agree. Nobody rises to low expectations. Set a big goal. Now realize when you set a big goal, you can make a month's worth of production up in a week. Okay. My mentor taught me this when I first got involved in the industry in 1996. He said, you can make up a month's worth of production in 1 week. And he also told me you can make up a week's worth of production in 1 day. So realize there's a time to go all out. And that's always the last 48 hours of the month. We do about 40% of our volume. Okay. 40% of the entire team volume comes in the last 48 hours. And we're going to be talking about why, right? But here's what Confucius said, right? He said this. He said, when it's obvious that the goals cannot be reached, don't adjust the goals. Guess what you want to adjust? You want to adjust your action steps, right? Meaning you want to talk to more people. We'll talk about how to do that here today on this call. Now, here's what 95% of the people think that success looks like. You start something and you either succeed or you fail. And 95% of Americans think that's what it looks like, or 95% of the people think that they think that's what it looks like. Here's what 5% of the people know what success looks like. Success is about going from failure to failure to failure. I love what Winston Churchill said. He said, success is going from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm. And when I talk about failure, when I expose the Remon opportunity with people, not always do they get started right away, right? Some of the top people that I've introduced to Remon didn't get started for 6 months, right? Christy Bellison, my wife and I jumped on a plane and went and met with her and her husband, Ryan, right when we got in. And they said no. But no doesn't mean no. No means not now. So we kept following up and following up and following up for about 6 months. And then she got started. Robert Nahn, one of our top producing senior directors, took us 6 months to get him involved. He was the first sit down that Chris and I did. We drove up to Robert's house and we met with Robert and he said no. And we followed up and followed up and followed up and followed up and boom, we got started. Kai Wynn, one of our top producing senior directors, it took us months and months and months to get him started in the business. So realize the fortune is in the follow-up. Just because it's a failure, if you learn from it, you're going to become better equipped for the your next opportunity. So don't look at a failure as something bad. Failures is how you become successful. I think some people fear failure. If you fear failure, you're pretty much counted out of success. Okay, because the only way to succeed at something is to, guess what? Expedite the amount of failures you're having. Right? All I do is I go failure. I'm trying to get more failures than everybody else because I know that failures are how I become successful. You know, I was having dinner probably about 20 years ago with Les Brown up at the Orange Hill restaurant, one of my mentors, my favorite motivational speaker. And I was meeting with Les Brown at dinner and he told me something that was so powerful. He said, Tim, yeses build your business and the no's build you. He said the yeses build your business and the no's built you. And I was like, damn, Les, that was fire. And I can tell you that it's all about getting after it and going for it. Okay. So here's what I want to make sure everybody knows. Stay committed to your goal. The goals manager, whatever you and your first level planners do, all that SP, once it equates to basically 3,000 SP in 3 consecutive months, no more than 1,500 from one recruit. Guess what? Boom, you become a manager. So you can become a manager in 3 months or you can become a manager in 1 week. It's the same amount of work. Okay. It's literally the same amount of work. It's just how fast you want to get the job done, right? So get that wrapped up as soon as possible. Now, how do you become a senior manager? Super simple. Basically you and all your frontline planners SP, you add that all together. And once that equates to 6,000, no more than 3,000 from one recruit, guess what? Boom, you're a senior manager. When do you want to be a senior manager? Yesterday, right? If you're not a senior manager yet, wrap it up, right? Wrap it up before the end of the month. And I would encourage you to do it before that, okay? So now that this is the key to closing the month strong. Number 2, impending events drive success. So you're either going to organize or guess what? You're going to agonize. Okay. What's the difference, right? Here's what I can share with you. You want to make sure you know what's happening in your organization. So who's gotten started in the last 3 months in your organization? Why is that important? Because their 3-month deadline's coming up. So if you think about it, what month are we in right now, right? We're in the month of March. So people that got started in what, January, February, March, anybody that got started in January, their 3 months is coming up. So how do you drive volume at the end of the month? Look back at everybody that joined in January and making sure that we help them wrap up their qualifications. Okay. We want to make sure we're helping them wrap it up. Second thing is who's gotten a starter set? Who's gotten started in the last 30 days? Why is that important? Because you have 30 days to pick up a starter set. So at the end of the month, you're upgrading everybody to be able to get the starter set, okay? They want to upgrade now. Everybody wants to get a starter set before the end of the month. And we'll talk about why in a second, right? But who's a manager or hire that needs 10 customers? Anybody in your organization right now that needs to get their 10 active customers. Now that's 10 active customers for the Remon Dollar Rewards. That's not just 10 lifetime customers, 10 active customers that purchase something this month. They're going to get that extra 5%. Okay. Very important to understand. We got to make sure that we help everybody maximize, right? That's happening right now. Who's running for team leader director? Okay. I know Kelsey Hansen just popped just popped director today, right? A couple of days ago, Sarah Anderson wrapped up director, right? I know that Leah Johns is about to wrap up director any day now. So realize you got to know who's running for director, who's running for team leader in your organization. Because if you hit team leader today, when do you get promoted? April 1st. How do you become a team leader? 3 senior managers and 3 separate legs and 50,000 in volume, no more than 25,000 per line. Okay. No longer do you need the 7 extra managers. They made it easier. So we need to know who's going to be a team leader this month. Because if somebody gets promoted to team leader, let's say April 3rd, when do they rank advance? Not till May 1st. Remember, team leader promotions and director promotions are once a month. So we want to make sure that everybody that's running for team leader or director get it done this month, okay? And then obviously, who needs to get their team leader maintenance, right? If anybody hasn't had their 10,000 SP, make sure you reach out to them and make sure you help them get their 10,000. Most team leaders have already done that, obviously, probably, the first week of the month. But if somebody, for whatever reason, has not been focused, make sure you help your team leaders all get active, right? And then obviously, any monthly promotions, right? We got the convention promos, right? The recruit 3 or get the 5,000 in the SP and 50 customers. Those are monthly promotions, right? We want to make sure that everybody's running hard for what? Their monthly promotions, okay? Make sure that you're doing that, right? So that's impending events. Impending events drive success, okay? So let's talk a little bit about some more impending events. Pay period deadline, right? 11/59 on the last day of the month. So anybody that buys a set today, right? Are they get a customer today? When are they going to get paid out, right? That's going to get paid out on April what? April 15th. I know that probably by then we're going to be going to weekly pay, so that'll happen before that. But you understand the key is to create urgency. Make sure that all the volume gets in by the end of the month. All the personal purchases, all the customer volume, everything, all rebates, everything happens right now. So at the end of the month, everybody's upgrading. It's a frenzy. It's an upgrading frenzy at the end of the month. So impending events drive success, okay? Now, leadership, this is the key to closing the month strong, number 3. You want to create a culture in your organization of urgency, right? I love what Jim Rohn said. He said, without urgency, desire loses its value. Without urgency, desire loses its value. So you want to establish the right culture. And I'm going to take my jacket off for a second because I'm getting fired up right now. I love the example of Halloween. Okay, Chris Kim's buddy was over for Halloween a couple years ago, and he brought his son from Korea. Okay, this kid has never been to America, and it just so happened to be Halloween. So he went out and he got a little Mario Brothers costume, and he started knocking on doors with all the kids, getting candy. That must have been the most amazing exposure to America. Like, that kid's mind must be blown. Like, America is the best country in the world for that kid. He's like, you just throw a costume on and go knock on doors and you get free candy. Like, no country's got an opportunity presentation like America. That's what he's thinking, right? But it's a culture that we've established, right? It's a culture that we have in our country October 31st. Everybody dresses up and goes and gets what? Candy, okay? That culture would be hard to create if I said, hey, guys, guess what? On March 28th, we're going to start doing that. Or March 29th, we're going to start doing that tomorrow. No, people are going to call security, right? So you want to realize a culture is really important to establish in your organization. Now, Elf on a Shelf is an interesting one. Why? Because that's kind of a new culture, right? Anybody that's got little kids knows about Elf on a Shelf. That just came out of nowhere, right? So when we talk about the right cultures are easy to maintain, but they take time to create, okay? That's why I love this training so much, because brand new people, they want to have that urgency about closing the month out to be able to have a sense of urgency, okay? So you want to create that culture in your organization. Number 2 is this. Once established, it's very hard to change. Okay. You can't really stop Halloween from happening. You guys get what I'm saying? Like, you can be like, oh man, I don't like that holiday. Well, it's still going to happen. You don't have to put a jack-o'-lantern out front, but guess what? It's still going to happen whether you like it or not. So you want to establish the right culture. The right culture is easy to create with new teams. So when you start a new line of business, you can learn from your past organization on how to create the culture the right way, right? You want to, every time you start a new line of business and you start a new leg and you open up a new team, you want to make sure that you put the right culture in that organization. Number 4 is this. What you do will duplicate. Okay, what you do will duplicate. People will do what you do, not what you say. So you want to establish the right culture. And now let's talk a little bit about it, right? Today, if somebody hits manager, senior manager today, they get promoted when? Tomorrow, right? So if they get it done today, they're going to get paid on the 29th, 30th, and 31st on all their manager volume, all their senior, all the volume, all the upgrades, all the volume that happens. But if they wait till the last day of the month and they get it all done, guess what? They're not going to get paid on as a manager until after the pay period deadline, after the close. So you don't want to wait till the last minute, right? You want to make it happen now. You want to create that urgency culture in your organization. If somebody waits till the 31st to get promoted, they're going to miss out on all that excitement that happens on the last 48 hours of the month. Last 48 hours of the month's an absolute frenzy. Okay. All the volume. I mean, we literally do about 40% of our volume in the last 48 hours of the month. So you want to realize, get your people in a position to benefit from that massive momentum by hitting manager now. So if you're not a manager, let's wrap it up today, latest tomorrow, right? Let's get it done. Okay. So let's talk about creating the right urgency culture in your organization, okay? This is how, now remember, to be a team leader, how many legs of senior managers you need? You only need what? 3. But you never want to make your minimums your maximums. The reason why all of we dominate the charts, right? I mean, I think the team leader numbers came out yesterday. No, they come out on Wednesday. And I can't remember the last time where it's not been 70, 80% of the top 10 team leaders are coming from our organization. Why is that true? Why has that happened? Because we don't build 3, we teach everybody what? 10 legs as senior managers. So you might hit team leader with 3 legs, but you want to have 10. So you don't want to stop after you hit team leader. You want to keep on producing senior manager legs because you want to have 10 legs running. And we'll talk about why in a little bit, okay? So let's look at this a little bit more. If you want to be a top producing director, if you look at the top 10 directors, I think 8 out of the top 10 are coming from our organization. Why? Because we teach 10 team leaders. 10 legs of team leaders to be a solid director. Now, it only takes what? 3, but you never want to make your minimums your what? You never want to make your minimums your maximums. So you want to have 10 legs running. You want to build wide for profitability. There's never been a one-legged horse to win the Kentucky Derby. You want to have multiple lines of business, right? So make sure you obviously understand that. And obviously, now this one is the correct one, right? Monday, March 31st at 11:59 is the behavior deadline. All the volume goes in right there. This is the day that you want to circle, highlight, whatever it is. This is big, right? This is what we all build for. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about it. So here's what you want to realize. This is the key number 4 out of the 7 keys. How you start will duplicate. So let's say you get started and you get your toe in the water with a 300 SP pack. Okay, nothing wrong with that, but just realize people are going to do what you do, not what you say. So now, if you get started with the baby pack, you're going to need 19 people to get started with a baby pack if you want to become a senior manager. Okay, 19 people. People will do what you do, not what you say. So how you start is going to determine how you finish. Okay, so if you get started with a 300-point set, there's nothing wrong with that, but realize that's what people are going to do on your team. So because you're going to create that culture in your organization of people dipping their toe in, right? So here's another example though. Let's say you get started with a 1,000-point set. Now what happens, right? Now everybody's going to get started with 1,000-point sets. Now you only got to sponsor how many people to get how many people do you need to sponsor at 1,000 equals 6,000, right? You plus 5 is 6,000. So if you start that culture in your organization by getting a 1,000-point set, it's going to duplicate. Okay. Now, if you get the 1,500-point set, guess what? That also is going to what? That also is going to duplicate. So if you get started at 1,500, now you only need 3 people. You only need 3 planners to get started at 1,500 to be a what? Senior manager. So realize everything that you do, you live in a fishbowl as a leader. People will do exactly what you do. If you get started with a baby set, you're going to create a lot of baby set people, right? My wife always says size matters, right? Size matters. So you want to have a big pack, right? You want to have a big pack. Woo! You want to have a big pack, right? So that's what I always say. Now, let me explain this to you, okay? This is something that's so important for new people to know, okay? If I sell or buy 3,000 SP myself, I'm going to get 10% on the BP of those first initial orders. Now, from 3,000 to 6,000, what's going to happen? Right? On that 6,000 SP, I'm going to get 20%, okay? So basically what happens is it's going to be right around $232 is that I'm going to earn because I'm getting paid on the BP. On the 20%, I'm going to make about $464, okay? But when I got started at 6,000 SP. Now, you don't have to do this, but I'm just telling you, it's important to make sure the people are aware of this, okay? If somebody gets started with a 6,000-point set, like I did, I got 4 of the 1,500s. I'm in at 928 back, right? I'm going to get 50% cash, 50% rebate if I buy packages, right? If I get customers, right, I'm going to get basically 20% back in full, obviously commission. So it'd be 928 in cash and 1,000. Okay, I'm going to get that extra $1,000 bonus if I get those 50 lifetime customer accounts. So remember, those 50 customer accounts are free. So you just call your friends, say, do me a favor, man. Hey, it's free. Just sign up and get this thing. And then if you want to order products later, you can. It's going to give me $1,000 if I can get a couple people to do this, and you get 50 people to sign up an account. So you don't have to obviously get that extra 1,000, but if it's there, take it. Okay. So if you leapfrog past, guess what? Senior manager in one day, right? If you leap to senior manager in one day, you're going to get manager pay on all of that. Okay. So it's important to understand how the compensation plan works so you can maximize it. When I got started with a 6,000. I got 4 of the 1,500 point sets. Guess what? Out of the first 40 people I recruited, guess what? 38 did the exact same thing. 38 out of 40 did the same thing. People will do what you do, not what you say. So if you leapfrog, obviously pass senior manager in one day, right? You're going to get manager pay. Now, don't do this, right? If you're not serious about building it, okay? Like I don't encourage everybody to get started this way. I just wanted to make as much as I can, as fast as I can, right? Not as low as I can for as long as I can. I want to make as much as fast. So please don't think about doing this unless you know how to promote the products. For me, it was super simple, right? We were doing home meeting after home meeting after home. I was just bringing people over to my house, and everybody was doing what I was doing. I'm like, here, I'll give you one of my 1,500. I'll give you a 1,500 point set. When your 3 come in, just hit me back one, right? And that's how we were doing it, right? So everybody was like, bam, I was moving the product too fast, right? It was like, I needed more. So just realize it's up to you how you get started, but how you start will duplicate. What people are going to do what you do. Now, here's number 5, how to close the month out strong is know the difference in pay. Okay. How much you're going to earn on customer BP, right? So it's super simple. As a planner, if you produce 3,000 in personal customer volume, at 10%, you're earning 300. As a manager, if you produce that same volume, you're at 20%. You're going to earn 6,000. Now, remember, next month, you're going to earn an extra 5% at 3,000, right? Because 3,000 is going to get you up to 2,000, right? So realize this is just on the basic plan. Now we have the upgraded plan too. But senior manager, if you produce 3,000 in SP, you're going to get what? 30%, which is what? Or a BP. If you produce 3,000 BP at 30%, you're going to earn 900. Okay. If you produce 33,000 BP as a team leader at 40%, you're going to earn what? 1,200. Would you rather earn 300 or 1,200, right? Obviously, you can't start as a team leader, but you can start as a senior manager. If you do the same work, would you rather make 300 or 900, right? So get started wherever you feel confident and comfortable, but make sure you work your way up and rank advance as soon as possible, okay? Now let's talk about knowing the difference in pay, okay? Now remember, the unilevel structure comes when, right? June 1st, but let's talk a little bit about it, right? Remember, how do you unlock the unilevel, okay? You personally produce 1,000 in SP and have 10 lifetime customers. And as a manager, you're going to get paid an additional 5% on level 1 and level 2. So currently with the plan, if I'm a manager and I sponsor a planner, how much do I make? Current plan, I'm going to make 10%. When the new unilevel kicks in, it's an additional 5%, right? As a senior manager, when I sponsor a planner, how much do I earn? Okay. I'm going to earn 20%, right? Because I'm going to get the differential payout of 30%. Okay. So I'm going to earn 20% plus an additional 5%. As a team leader, when I sponsor a planner, how much do I earn? 30% plus an additional 5% if I unlock the unilevel pay. This is out of control. Extra money. Okay. Extra money. This literally is unbelievable. Obviously, you guys know that you can unlock the senior manager and team leader income if you produce a lot of SP yourself and have 30 or 50 lifetime customers. So just realize, focus in right now on ranking to team leader before June 1st. Okay. This is like the example I always give people is if you introduce 3, that's 9. If they introduce 3 is what? 27. They do the same, 81, 243, 729. If you build a team like that and everybody's averaging 1,000 BP a month, you're going to be at about 33,000 in income. Okay. About 33,000 in income. And then that's not bad. That's not all your money. You understand? Because I know no one on this call is excited about making 33,000 a month, right? But guess what? You're getting paid all your other money too. This is just one extra stream. Now, if you're like, oh man, good things don't happen to people like me or whatever, and you have a kind of a warped mindset, think about then you fail 90% of the time. If you fail 90% of that example, you're still making 3,300 a month. But if you have the mindset like me and many of the people that are on this call, and you're like, wait a second, I'm going to double it. I never make my minimums, my maximums. If you double that and you put 2,000 BP per planner, you're looking at 66,000. So what's important is this is extra money, but you want to be in a position to benefit from it. So you want to get to team leader by when? ASA yesterday, right? As soon as yesterday. So now this is extra money on starter sets. Because remember, 5%, 5%, 3%, 3%, 3%, 3%. As a manager, you unlock level 1 and 2. As a senior manager, 3 and 4. And as a team leader, 5 and 6. So every 300-point set that comes in, right, the BP on that's going to equate to about 1150. So you're going to make about 1150 on level 1 and 2. Extra money. Plus 690, 690, 690, 690 on levels 3 through 6. People are getting started with 1,000-point sets within that 6th level. Guess what? 38, 38, 2280 on down. And people are getting started at a 1,500-point set. It's 58, 58, 34, 80 all the way down. This is incredible. This is incredible. Now, if somebody produces 3,000 SP themselves or 6,000 SP themselves, look at what happens. If somebody produces 3,000 SP themselves, that's 105, 105 on extra money on level 1 and 2. Plus 63, 63, 63, 63. That's extra money. If somebody comes in and they produce 6,000 in personal volume, SP, that's 210, 210, 126, 126, 126, 126. Plus the differential that we currently have. This is over the top. How much money just got put into the plan? Now, remember, this all starts June 1st. So get to team leader by June 1st, right? So you can take advantage of this. So once again, we need to know how to make the most amount of money, okay? When you're a planner and you sponsor a 300-point set, a 1,000-point set, or 1,500-point set, how much do you earn? $11 on a small set, 38 on a bigger set, 1,500 on a bigger set, right? This is the current plan. The unilevel is going to kick in next month, and it'll be even bigger. But as manager, it's 23, 72, 116 on every time you sponsor somebody one of these packs. So important to get people started with starter sets, right? Senior managers, 46, 152, 232. Understand there's so much money in this plan. You want to make sure you get people started the right way. Team leaders are going to earn how much? 69, 224, and 348. 348 for every person that they sponsor. How many people are we allowed to sponsor? There's no limit. There's no limit to how many people we're allowed to let be a part of Remon with us. This is unbelievable. Okay, this is unbelievable. So remember, as a senior manager, you're going to get that 5% override. Remember that 5% override on your open line organization? So when a manager or planner sponsors somebody in your team, you're going to earn as a senior manager an extra $11, $39, or $58 on that organization. Okay? This is on our differential payout. This is not including the unilevel. This thing's going to get out of control. This thing, I've never seen a pay increase like this. 30 years in network marketing. Never seen a pay increase like what we just got here last week at this convention or 2 weeks ago. So as a team leader, remember, you're getting paid on your entire open line volume. That means all generations, all levels, everything that's happening in your group, okay? So when people get started with starter sets, how much can you earn? Let's talk about it, right? If a planner, okay, enrolls somebody at a 300, 1,000, or 1,500-point set, guess what? If there's no senior manager above them, you're getting 25 on every one of them. So that's 57, 190, 290 on every planner that gets started in your organization when they get a pack. Now, if there isn't a senior manager above them, then guess what happens? You're splitting that differential with them, right? They're getting 5%, but you're still making 46, 152, or 232. That's why you got to be a team leader yesterday. Let's do this. Okay, let's give it everything we got. Now, if there's a manager sponsoring packs, then you're going to make obviously 46, 152, or 232. We understand that. Now, if there's a manager with an SM, right, the SM is going to take a 5% on that differential. So you're still at 34, 115, or 174, depending on what pack people get. That's why it's so important at the beginning to start the right culture with your organization. Okay, make sure you get the biggest set you can because your team's going to duplicate what you do. Now, if you have senior managers sponsoring people, remember they're going to get 30%, but you're still getting a 10% override on that. You're getting 23, 76, or 116. Realize there is so much money in this compensation plan. All we got to do is share. Share. Find somebody with some skin and share it. Find somebody that wants to have a better quality of life and share the opportunity. Saturday, we've got an opportunity overview, right? With Dr. Stephanie Rimka. How many people are you allowed to get on there? We're going to let everybody tonight that's on this call, we're going to allow you to introduce the business to as many people as you want tomorrow. Look at that. We just upgraded everybody's success. So here's what would happen if planners are in your organization getting people started, right? And let's say you had 10 people get started at 300-point packs, all sponsored by planners on your team as a team leader. You're going to earn $570 on those 10 people getting started. Okay. This is without counting the unilevel tree. This is just the basic comp plan that we have right now. Now, if all those people get started at 1,000-point sets, you're going to make $1,900. if they're all sponsored by planners. You guys understand how powerful this is? Every time somebody gets started, you want to help them get started the right way. Okay. Now, people getting started with 1,500 point sets, guess what happened? In this example, you're at basically $2,900 if they're all enrolled by planners. You can allow people to start as many people as possible. What would happen if you started to just sponsor people like crazy and your team did the same thing? Your organization would grow and your income would grow like wildfire through a dry brush field. Okay. Now, obviously, if planners are getting started with a senior manager, remember senior managers are going to get 5% on that differential. You're still making $460 plus the level that starts on June 1st. It's going to be crazy. That's at 300 point sets. Now, if you're getting people started at 1,000 point sets, planners are sponsoring. There's a senior manager. Remember that senior manager getting that 5%. You're getting the differential, right? You're getting what? 20% on all that. Look at what happens, right? If you had 10 people get started with 1,000 point sets, you're making an extra $1,520. Man, I love this compensation plan. Now look at what happens. Imagine you got people started at the 1,500 point set and there's a senior manager, right? That you're splitting, they're getting 5%, and you're getting the differential of 20%. You're earning 2320. There's so much money in this compensation plan. Now, obviously, if there's managers sponsoring people, you're going to earn the same amount of money, right? Because you're going to earn 20%. So that would be 460 on 10 people getting started at 300 point sets. As a team leader, we got to get you to team leader, man. We got to get you to team leader. Now, what happens is this. If you've got managers sponsoring people at 1,000 point sets, they're going crazy, man. They're fired up. They're sharing Remon like never before. If you only have 10 people get started, that's $1,520 extra income on top of all the customer acquisition, on top of everything else going on in your organization, right? If you get people started at 1,500 point sets, in this example, you're at basically 2,330. There's so much money. You've got to understand how much money's in this compensation plan so you can unlock it all, okay? Now, obviously, if you have managers sponsoring people and there's a senior manager above them, the senior manager getting 5%, right? The managers are getting 20%. So you're getting 15%, right? Guess what's happening? If you have 10 people get started with 300 point sets, you're making 340. So I'm giving you examples here because I want you to sink your teeth into how rich this thing is. If you have managers sponsoring people that at 1,000 point sets with a senior manager, boom, right? You're making 1140 on 10 people getting started on your team. How many people do you want to get started on your team? You want your team to grow like wildfire. Now, they can get started with starter kits, or you can teach them how to sell the products themselves and get sales 1,500. If you're teaching everybody how to sell 1,500 points, it's the same thing, same amount of income, right? So if you get managers sponsoring 1,500 point sets, senior manager above them, you're making 1,740 on these people getting started. So you want to make sure you help your people as a team leader get started and get a package. If you're not a team leader yet, you want to start the culture in your organization of everybody getting started the right way. So your team will grow like wildfire, okay? Now, remember the leadership matching bonuses, right? This just got upgraded starting next month. They took it from 15 to 40, from 10 to 20. So it used to be 15, 10, 10. Now it's 40, 20, 10. This is an insane pay increase. This is out of control how much money they're throwing at us, man. This Remon just lost. I mean, they're like, boom, let's just throw it at them. Throwing money at us, right? And I'd love to give people the hypothetical example as a team leader. Let's say that you sponsored 5 team leaders in your organization. You want to have 10, but let's just say 5. If their average income's at 10,000, if you're at 40%, okay, guess what? You're making 20,000 on that. And if they did the same thing you did, maybe it took 2 years, maybe it took 3 years for those 5 to duplicate. And they're making 10,000. Now you might have some team leaders that aren't making 10,000, but guess what? Find the people that are making 10,000, right? And if they're averaging 10,000 at 20%, you're at 50,000 on generation 2. This is incredible. Generation 3, if you have 125, so 5, they got 5, 125. That's $195,000 just in match bonus. That excitement right now, I mean, it is out of control right now. There's so much money. So when you build it, your team leader commissions are going to look like this. Your matching bonus is going to look like this. And then boom, your unilevel is going to look like this. So there's 3 big income streams happening in Remon. Okay. So we want to take action now like never before. Okay. So this is leadership. This is the key to closing the month strong, number 6. Okay. Break down your goal. There's something called Sinaloa, right? Everybody knows this. Safety in numbers and law of averages, right? Safety in numbers and law of averages. What that means is simply this. When you do something often enough, a ratio will tend to appear. You're going to have a ratio that happens in your organization, okay? So know your ratios, know your numbers. Work the numbers, right? Inch by inch, it's a cinch, right? Yard by yard is when it becomes hard. Work your numbers. Obviously, numbers don't lie, right? Numbers don't lie. You tell me how much volume you did this month or how many new people got started on your team, and I'll tell you how many people you talked to. right? It's pretty simple, right? So numbers tell us the whole story, right? My mentor used to make a box, and he would tell me to put the number in the box. The box was how many people got started today. And he would just, he makes the box so small so a story won't fit. You guys see what he would do? He would just, all I want to know is the numbers, Tim. How many people did you present to today? How many people got started today? That's it. And the numbers would tell him the story on what I was doing, of how excited I was, or how much I cared about other people's success. People that are sharing the business with people are people that literally care about other people. It's like, I don't want anybody to miss out on this opportunity. I have found a gold mine right now. So I want to let everybody participate in this. That's why I'm running so hard, right? If it was just about money, I would have retired a long time ago. It's not about the money for me. It's about getting other people to the top. I was watching this movie on Netflix a couple nights ago called Everest, about this dude that was taking people up Mount Everest. I was like, man, that's kind of a wild situation. This ain't Mount Everest. You guys see that? But we're going to take him to the top of a hill, right? So the 5 Ps, right? Proper planning prevents poor productivity. Okay. So make sure you have a plan. So let's talk about what that looks like. Okay. Everybody's seen apothecary scale before. Okay. What do we focus on? We focus on driving the activity, and what happens to our productivity goes through the roof. The activity is what? Talking to people about the opportunity, focusing in on what we can control. I can control how many people I talk to. I can control how many people I present to. I can control how many people that I share the Remount opportunity with. And as a result of controlling that activity, my productivity will soar. So let's break down our goals, right? Let's break down our goals. So let's say that you have a goal, right? Let's say you're building a new line of business and you're like, man, I want to help this, or I'm helping somebody build a new team leader organization. So I need to make sure that I'm helping them get at least 10,000 SP a month, right? So after 5 months, that organization could be a team leader team, right? So I'm building a new line of business, right? And I'm going to use BP as an example because it just is easier to do. If I'm looking at 10,000 bonus points, right? And let's say that my average planner is getting started and they're averaging 750 bonus points. New planners are getting started. They're averaging 750, meaning some are getting at 300, some are getting 1,500, some are getting 1,000, and some are getting, 3,000 or 6,000. They want to blow the doors off the hinges, right? Let's say I'm averaging 750. That means I need to get 13 new planners in my organization this month. If I'm signing up 1 out of 4 people, 25%, that means I need to talk to 53 people. And if I'm working the business, let's say 25 days a week, that's about 2.1 exposures a day. Who can expose the business to 2.1 people a day? Everybody. I mean, that's super simple, right? That's like a half a K pop-up. That's a half a pop-up a day, right? Let's talk about something a little bit more exciting, right? Let's talk about, guess what? Let's talk about 25,000 in bonus points, right? 25,000 in bonus points going to get you tier 1 as a team leader. Let's say you're building a couple lines and you want to help them get to 25,000 BP the month. If everybody's doing the same thing at 750, right? That means you're going to need about 33 people getting started. If you're getting 1 out of 4 people started, that's about 33 presentations a month, right? If you're doing 25 days a week, that's about 5.3 exposures a day. There's no reason why anybody can't expose a business to 5.3 people a day, right? I'm running at 8 presentations a day, and most of them have more than 1 person on there, right? You can do as many as you want. I love the fact that we're allowed to talk to as many people as we want. There's no limit to how many people we're allowed to share this with. I can talk to as many people as I want. Remon doesn't say, Tim, you're only allowed to talk to 5 people a day. Only allowed to talk to 3 people a day, and then you got to take the rest of the day off, man. They allow me to talk to as many people as I can, and I like to talk to people, right? So let's talk about a bigger goal, right? Let's talk about 100,000. If I want to do 100,000, I'm averaging 750. That means I need to get 133 new planners. Now, this is not including customers. I'm just showing you something I can control. I can't control how many customers are getting started. Because if I'm closing 1 out of 4, what are those other 3 people that I'm not getting them started in the business doing? If I'm getting 1 out of 4 people started, the other 3 are what? Customers, right? That means that I'm going to need 533 presentations, one-on-ones to people exposed to the business. If I'm working 25 days a week, that's 21 people a day. Now, if I've got 5 people that are presenting, what's 21 divided by 5? You see what I'm saying? It's what, 4 a day? So if you're teaching people to duplicate and you're leading by example and you're setting the pace and you're setting the tempo for your organization is going to grow like wildfire through a dry brush field. We're allowed to make as much money as we want. Okay. There's no cap here. I love that. Okay. So let's talk about the key number 7, right? Developing the habit of persistence. One of my favorite books of all time is Think and Grow Rich, right? I spent 10 years of my life listening to that book on audio on repeat while my wife and I would sleep. We literally slept with Napoleon Hill. That sounds crazy. But my wife and I would put that on repeat as we would sleep for 10 years. Because he uses big words, and you guys know I'm not really smart. Dr. Remke can figure it out. I can't figure out these big words. So after 10 years, I freaking memorized that dang book. But he talks about in that book how to have the habit of persistence. How the 4 steps that lead to the habit of persistence says number 1 is a definite purpose backed by a burning desire for its fulfillment. What is it that you want and why do you want it? Right? What is your purpose? Right? What are you doing here? For me, man, I want to help as many people change their life financially as possible. Right? A lot of you know I've helped 25 people in my career that I personally sponsor make over $1 million a year. Right? My organization, I want to build an organization that's bigger than Dexter Yeager's, right? His team does his organization at the peak was doing about 2.6 billion a year. I'm going to do that. I'm doing it 100%. So it's like, I have a big goal. So understand, you got to have a desire, right? That it is exciting to you. If your purpose is like, man, you know what? I just want to be able to afford Taco Bell once a week. Come on, man. That's not going to get you jacked out of your mind. You got to find something that's going to get you fired up. And then you have to have a definite plan expressed in continuous action day in and day out. And then you want to close your mind against negative and discouraging influences. Any suggestions from negative relatives, right? Negative friends or acquaintances. Somebody says something negative, boom, I don't even pay attention to it. I'm like, that's a language I don't speak. I don't speak negativity. I don't even know that language, right? And then you want to have a friendly alliance with one or more persons that will encourage you to follow through with your plan and purpose. That's what these calls are about. That's what your support structure is about. Aligning yourself with people that are going to be there for you every step of the way, that are going to encourage you, they're going to become your biggest cheerleaders, that want to see you win. That's how you develop the habit of persistence. Let's talk a little bit more about this, right? I like to call this success hill, right? Now imagine you're trying to push a bowling ball, right? Or you're trying to push a boulder up a hill. You want to be consistently consistent with your commitment, not consistently inconsistent, day in and day out, right? So if you're pushing and you're up the success hill and you're like, boom, 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 but you don't go all the way. You don't keep on keeping on. It's going to roll back and it's going to start further than it did when you first started. So what do you got to do? You got to crank it up again. You're like, man, I'm going to go for it. And you still don't get it all the way over. Then guess what happened? It's going to roll back down again. So you want to keep on keeping on. You want to keep on keeping on every day, no matter what. Somebody's negative or discouraging to you, next. Doesn't affect you. You got your blinders on. You're going to the top. You're going to make it happen. Whatever that looks like for you. If you just want to make an extra 1,000 a month, then make it 1,000 a month. I'm doing it. If you want to make 1,000 a week, I'm doing it. You want to make 1,000 a day, I'm doing it. Whatever your goal is, let's accomplish it. And how do we do it? We got to keep on keeping on until we get to that point. So you keep on pushing it once you get it over the hill. You've got to keep on keeping on. You got to give it everything that you got. So the fortune is in the follow-up. We've got a few days left this month, right? Who do we follow up with? Prospects that we haven't even shown Remon to yet. Follow up and get them on tomorrow's call with Dr. Rimka. Customers that have received the products want to follow up. Make sure they're taking before and afters. Making sure they fall in love with the products. Making sure they know how to use them. Right? Prospect it. So here's what we want to realize, okay? 2% of the people get started on the first contact. We want to follow up. The fortune's in the follow-up. How many people do you talk to on a consistent basis, right? So how do you follow up? What does following up look like? Be the best part of somebody's day. People get excited to hear from you, right? Connect and touch a heart before you ask for a hand. Connect with people. Find out about them. When you're following up, you want to touch a heart before you ask for a hand. And remember that everybody's tuned into their own radio station. WIIFM. What's in it for me? People are tuned into their own radio station, man. They want to know what's in it for them. So focus on people's hot buttons, right? Focus on their family. Focus on their occupation, the recreation, and their money, right? Find out what it is that they want to do. Find out why somebody's going to want to take advantage of Remon. Why would somebody want to do Remon? You got to know. And then seek first to understand before to be understood. You're not trying to get everybody fired up and excited about Remon. You're trying to find out first, understand where they're coming from. Where are they at in their life? And how can this help them? So when you're following up and talking to them about them. And always use a cushion whenever you're dealing with an objection. I know how you feel. I felt the same way. Here's what I found out. I know how you feel. A lot of people felt like that. Here's what they found out. Make people feel good about having objections, because that just tells you what you need to remove throughout your presentation. If you do 10 presentations and you hear the same objection, what does that tell you? That means you got to do a better job of removing that in the presentation, okay? Care more about the person than the transaction. It's not just about getting people started in a Remon for the benefit that it has for you. It's about what it can do for them. It's about getting them. My mentor said, close for 3 things: what you want, what they want in the next event. That's what he said. Close for what you want, close for what they want, and close for the next event. What do I want? I want them in the business. What do they want? They want to be able to change their life. And what and close it for the next event. they call it BAP, right? Book a party from a party, right? Whenever you do book a meeting from a meeting, right? Bam, bam, right? Whatever you want to call it, bam, bam, BAP. Book a meeting from a meeting, right? After you do a one-on-one, boom, drill them into the next meeting. Get them on the next meeting, next call. You never leave a presentation, never leave a situation without having another thing to promote them into, okay? Going all out massive action, right? And then obviously, this is what I'm going to share with us as we wrap this thing up. This is today, right? When you first get started, it's just you, right? And then as your team starts to grow, you stay consistent. You're like, man, I want to make it happen. I want to be successful. You stay on track, you're going to go to the top. Okay. So at the beginning, you're putting in a lot of effort. You're not getting a ton of results. It's like at a job, it's like work, check. 5 years later, work, check. 15 years later, work, check. 20 years later, work, check. 30 years later, work, check. 50 years later, work, check. That's how a job works. Our business at the beginning, it's work, check. Work, check. Work, check. And then after about 30 days, it's like work, check. Work, check. Work, check. And if you stay on track for 60 days, it's work, check. Work, check. Work, check. If you stay on track for 90 days, it's check, work. Check, work. Check, work. If you stay on track for a year, it's check, work. Check, work. That's the difference of what we're doing. You have to have that mindset. It's about being persistent, day in and day out, no matter what. All out massive action. I'm giving it everything that I got. This moment in time will never be recreated again. But if you don't stay on track, you get fired up, and then you get driven off track, and you end up over here. Boom, you're over there, right there with a bloody eye, with a black eye. Boom, go all out. Give it everything that you got. Make a commitment in your mind. Make a commitment in your heart that says, "This is it. This is my time to make it happen. This is my time to step up. I'm going to get the job done. Over, under, through. I'm going to win. I'm going to be a success. I'm going to make my goals and dreams become a reality." So first things first, have 5 guests on the Saturday overview. It does not get any better than Dr. Rimka. If you've never introduced a guest to Dr. Rimka, you got to introduce. I'm working with this doctor right now, one of the smartest people I know. You got to get on and check out why she's so fired up about Riemann. Get your guests on the call with Rimka. I promise you. She's my favorite presenter. Okay? She's my favorite presenter. Like when I get off the phone with her, I'm like, man, I feel like I'm smart. I talked to her for an hour the other day. I got off the phone. I was like, man, maybe I should send her like a consultation fee because I got so fired up. I mean, I'm telling you, get your people on with Dr. Rimka, okay? Tomorrow, 1 p.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Hawaii. You know how it is, okay? You guys know what time zones look like. And then Monday night, we got Abigail. So what would happen if you got 5 people on tomorrow night, or you got 5 people on tomorrow night, and then they got 5 people on Monday night? Now you have 30 people exposed to business. You're going to close this month out stronger than ever before. Take advantage of the Saturday and the Monday opportunity call. Qualify for the convention promotions, right? We got the basically recruit 3 and get at 1,000 BP. 1,000 SP, and boom, you get a $300 bonus. Create, 5,000 personal SP, and 50 customers get $1,000 extra. Take advantage of those, man, like never before, and get all your volume in before Monday night at 11:59. All out massive action. This is it. This is our time. Make a decision in your mind and make a decision in your heart that says, "This is it, man. I'm going for it. Nothing can stop me. Nothing can get my way. Over, under, through. I'm going to make it happen." What would happen if you made up your mind right now that says, "I'm giving it everything that I got. This is my time to do something special. This is my time to do something great. I'm going all out massive action. This moment in time that I've got right now in my fingertips is never going to happen again. I'm giving it everything that I got. I'm going to the top. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to change my family tree forever." Whatever that might look like. That might look like $1,000 a month for you. Don't take my prescription on what I'm doing, right? I'm like, man, you know what? I'm going to make $1 million a month with this opportunity. And in the next 6 months, that's what I'm doing. I'm like all out, but that's me. And I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it so I can help other people do it. I can't teach somebody to do something that I'm not doing. So I'm going all out for you. I'm giving it everything I got for you so I can teach you how to duplicate what I'm doing. Ask yourself right now, why not you? Why not you? Can you not find a wrinkle? Can you not find a fine line? I'm telling you, there are fine lines out there. There's wrinkles out there. We just got to find them and eliminate them. I feel like I'm on a war. Woo, I'm in a war against wrinkles right now. I'm looking for a wrinkle. I'm taking it out. Somebody tried to walk by my house the other day with a wrinkle. It's not happening on my block, baby. You don't come by my house with a wrinkle on your face. I'm knocking that bad boy right off your face. I'm telling you, it's a bad day to live in Tribuco Canyon with a wrinkle because I'm here. I'm taking over. I'm getting rid of all the wrinkles. Get excited. How fired up are you about your future? This company is going to become a multi-billion-dollar company. There is no debating that. Nobody's got their own smart farm. Nobody's doing what they're doing. Their own resort. What? We're going into a lava to get our water. What? What? We got our own giant plants that are patented. What? I'm telling you, next week on when I do the Y Remon training, you are going to be like, dude, oh man, you shouldn't have done that to me, Tim. I'm not sleeping now. Next Friday's training on Y Remon, you're going to be like, oh my God, I see it crystal clear. Sometimes it's like binoculars, right? You're looking and it's kind of like a little fuzzy. And I'm telling you, I'm going to come by on Friday and I'm going to get that thing laser focused. You're going to be like, oh my God, we are sitting on a dang gold mine. We're sitting on a dang gold mine. You guys got to realize this moment in time is never going to be recreated again. This is your time to do something great. Make up your mind right now that says, I'm going for it. I'm giving it everything that I got. Over, under, or through. This is my time. I'm going to close this month out stronger than ever before. I'm going to make sure no matter what, this is it. I'm going to give it everything that I got. I'm going to go out there right now and I'm going on a war on wrinkles. Let's go. Let's give it everything that we got. Let's commit right now. Let's lock arms. Let's not let anybody get left behind. Be willing to do the work. Be willing to share with people what you got. I got something special in my hand. I got to share this thing with everybody. Let's give it everything we got. Let's go all out massive action and let's make this thing happen together. God bless you guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. Let's make it happen. See you guys at the top. Love you guys. Let's do it together. Woo! Man, I'm getting fired up.